parents, we really are well intended. We really expect to do the very best we can. And it's because of that often that we don't listen effectively. We as parents believe that we either have to teach or instruct or in some way get across a message to our kids. And what better time to do that than when our kids share something with us? That's a chance to deliver our values to them, to change their beliefs if we don't think that they believe the way that we want them to. So most often when a young person speaks to us, our agenda gets put into play and we use that as an opportunity to be the best parent we can. The problem is we sacrifice really listening to the young person to do that. And so even though we're well intended, it kind of backfires on us. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is looking at ways to really hear our young people so that we deliver the real message that we want, which is that we love them and we care about them. How do we listen effectively to our young people? Well, a number of really elementary suggestions are: make sure that when you're talking with your teen that you've got the time and space where you're not distracted and not rushed. Now, sometimes that might mean that a teenager has something to talk about and you need to say to them, you know, I want to give you my full attention because I think you deserve that. So let's make a time to sit down and talk about that. Not only are you clearing your distractions, but you're also delivering a really good message to your teenager. Another thing that you need to do, and one thing that parents really fall short on often, is making it your agenda to listen to the young person rather than put in a lot of your own stuff into the conversation. So the conversation is actually fairly one-sided. If you're doing as much talking in that conversation as the teenager is, then you've got a dialogue happening. That's not what we call effective listening. The final point about listening effectively is teenagers always feel judged. And so in order to listen effectively, we have to maintain a high level of interest in what they're saying, and we have to deliver the message that we are not judging them. So it needs to be non-judgmental listening. Did you know that universities offer multiple courses nowadays on effective listening? That's how broad a topic it is. And obviously in these short clips we can't begin to touch on the whole aspect of effective listening. So what I'm going to offer you today that can immediately enhance the relationship you have with your young person is 3 techniques. One of them is paraphrasing, another one is checking out the feelings of the young person, and another one is using open-ended questions to include the young person and keep them talking about the issues that are of concern to them. By using the next 3 techniques and avoiding the communication roadblocks that you'll hear about later, you'll begin to see changes in your teen's responses and attitudes. In each technique, read the instructions and catch the following demonstration. See how you can incorporate these skills to improve your relationship with your teen. Paraphrasing is simply a chance to feed back what you're hearing to see if you're interpreting your teen properly. The first effective listening technique that we're going to use is paraphrasing. And remember, we talked about paraphrasing being just an opportunity to feed back to the person you're listening to what you've heard. If you've been wrong about what you've heard, then that's fine. Then the person gets to correct it. But at least they know that you're following them and understanding what they're saying. So Sally's going to help us out with this. And I'm going to get Sally just to share something, and I'm going to do some paraphrasing.
I found a puppy on the side of the road today, and it's homeless, and I was wondering if we could stay with us for a while.
You found a hurt puppy on the side of the road?
No, it wasn't hurt.
It was just stray on the side
Yeah,
of the
I
road.
was wandering along.
And you picked it up?
Yes.
And you brought it home?
Yes.
So now you're wondering what we're going to do about it.
Well, I'd like to keep it. It's really cute.
And what are you thinking about in terms of keeping it?
Well, I'd like it to be a family pet, and I'm willing to pay for some food and doggy school. That's what it comes to.
So you're prepared to pay its expenses and train it?
Yeah.
Open-ended questions are broad questions that gather more information. They call for more than a yes or no answer. The next listening technique that I'm going to demonstrate is using open-ended questions. And And as I've said already, open-ended questions require more than a yes or no answer. Once again, we're going to get Sally to begin the conversation.
I was thinking of going down to the city with a couple of friends to catch a concert.
What are you thinking about doing in the city?
Going to the concert and going shopping and out for dinner and such.
Who's in the concert? What's the concert all about?
It's just a mix of different bands from US and Canada. It's kind of like a festival.
And when is all this happening?
This weekend.
What kinds of plans have you made for your transportation and accommodation?
I'm catching a ride down with Sue and staying at her parents' condo.
So everything has been arranged so that you're going to be safe?
Yeah.
What kind of time frame are we looking at here?
Just a couple days for the Saturday and Sunday.
This technique allows you to help the young person identify and label their feelings. It also gives you a chance to be empathetic.
The next listening technique that we're going to deal with is checking out feelings. When you are able to identify the feelings that the person who's speaking is experiencing, then that person really feels well listened to. So once again, Sally's going to share a discussion with us, and I'm going to try to identify the feelings.
I really don't feel like girls and boys are treated equally at our school.
Sounds like you think there's an unfairness about that.
Yes, I really do.
Tell me about that.
Well, for example, boys are allowed to wear their hats in school and their pants down low, and girls aren't allowed to wear scarves on their heads or shirts that come above their belly button. I don't think that's fair.
So that kind of makes you angry.
Yes, it makes me really angry.
Have you seen any incidences of that, or
Yes.
has anything come really close to being hard and
I've seen boys trip over their pants, but the teachers don't seem to think anything of that. But if a girl has a shirt an inch above her belly button, then they demand that she puts on different clothes, even though it's not really offending anyone.
So you think there's some real sexism going on in the schools?
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It doesn't seem, we have more female teachers than male teachers, so I don't see why that would be happening. But it seems really prominent.
So it's a little puzzling to you.
Yeah. It makes me confused.
Does it affect you in any way, or how does it affect you?
Well, yes, I'd like to wear scarves on my head some days if I'm not having a good hair day or something. It's just something to cover your head. But we're not allowed because it looks like we're in gangs or something ridiculous like that.
So the unfairness creates limitations for you.
Yeah.
I want you to listen carefully for the communication roadblocks that play a negative role in your relationship with your teenager.
The first communication roadblock is preaching. If we are doing most of the talking, we're probably preaching. Preaching is a communication roadblock because it minimizes the thoughts and ideas of your teen and often puts them on the defensive or shuts them down. If your child seldom shares with you, ask yourself how much preaching you do.
I'm so tired of how Mr. George ignores me in geography.
Sally, you're just going to have to grin and bear it. The semester's almost over.
If I do, I'll fail.
Like preaching, advising doesn't serve any purpose but to shut down communication. By advising, we're trying to solve the problem for our teen long before we even hear what their thoughts or possible solutions are. Seldom if you advise them to do something will they say, "Oh, okay, great idea." Their response will most often be one of resistance.
Sue and I just had a horrible fight, and she said some really mean things to me.
Sally, if I were you, I would just ignore her and concentrate on the good friends that you've got.
She's my best friend.
The tone and words of this technique are hurtful and deliver a message that the teen couldn't possibly accept. By being critical, we create walls and invite angry responses from the teen. You've also, as a parent, avoided the opportunity to engage in any problem solving. You both lose.
All my friends have much longer curfew than me. It's not fair.
You know, Sally, nothing seems to be fair to you. I really wish you'd stop complaining.
It's not true.
Diverting, as you can well imagine, sends a message to the teen that you aren't really interested in what they have to say, or sometimes that you can't handle the information they're offering. It can be misconstrued as a type of rejection and leave the teen feeling unimportant, which in turn does nothing for their self-esteem or their relationship with you.
I failed my test.
Speaking of failing in school, when's your grad dance?
Don't you care about my education?
Warning a teen sets up a confrontational situation and creates hard feelings. It also prevents any chance of looking at various options to a situation. Imagine how you would feel if your boss or spouse delivered a warning. Threatening does not foster good relationships.
I want to quit my job. I hate it.
You're going to have to get rid of that attitude, young lady, or you're never going to do well in life.
It's not my attitude. They're really mean to me there.
Ridicule and judging take all kinds of forms. I guarantee that if you use a time of sharing to put your teen in their place, you won't receive anything good back. Teens that live with judgment become angry. All we've done by ridiculing is taken care of our own anger and frustration and hurt them in the process.
I'm never going to be a good student.
It figures you'd feel that way, Sally.
You don't think I'm going to be a good student either?
It's time now to observe an episode of Listening Effectively. Check out the techniques used and recognize how often you would have been tempted to respond with a communication roadblock.
Happy today.
I'm fed up with you. I want to move out.
You're fed up with me.
Yes?
What's that about?
But you don't let me do anything I want to do. All my friends, they get to go out. They get to do whatever they want. Their parents trust them. You don't even trust me. So I want to move out. I want to be on my own.
So you think that we don't trust you here at home?
Yeah, that's the impression I get. But I have to be home at 11:30 and the rest of my friends could be out until 2 in the morning because their parents know that they're not going to do anything. I'm a good kid, but you don't seem to realize that. You just judge me and think that, oh, because I'm a teenager, I'm going to do something bad. So I have to be home at 11:30.
So you really think that we've got it in for you?
Basically,
What other kinds of things make you think that way? Because I can tell that you're really angry, and I feel really badly that you're so angry.
well, when I come home, you don't ask me if I had fun. You grill me about what I've been doing and ask me a million questions that make me feel like crap. And basically, I don't feel comfortable sitting with you and Dad anymore because you guys just make me feel like I'm a worthless person and that I deserve to be talked down to.
Whoa. I'm really sorry to hear that. I had no idea that we were giving you those kinds of messages.
Maybe you should talk to me more.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk to you right now. What can we do to make you feel that you're loved? Because we really do love you a lot.
Spend some time with me, ask me questions about how my day was instead of grilling me about what I've been doing. You know my friends, they're not bad people. So why would you think that I was a bad person?
So that's the message you've got from us, that you're a bad person.
Yes?
Well, we certainly didn't expect, or we weren't trying to deliver that message. And so you think that we don't like your friends, and so that means that
Well,
we
no,
don't
I can
trust you?
see that you like my friends, and that's why I don't understand why you don't trust me. Like, what do you think I'm going to do when I go out? I go out with my friends and have fun with them. And just because I'm out late doesn't mean I'm doing something bad. Like, you won't even let me stay out if I'm watching a movie at a friend's house. That's pretty unreasonable to me.
So what you're saying is you don't really like the curfew that we've set for you.
No, I don't think it's fair.
Tell me what you think would be a fair curfew.
I think a fair curfew would be a curfew that lets me spend as much time as I feel in fair amount that I need to spend with my friends. Like, some of my friends don't even go out until 10 o'clock, so I get to spend half an hour and a half with them. when I could be spending a lot more time with them. And it really makes me sad that I have to say I have to go home now, and everybody's like, oh, why? It's only 11 o'clock.
So that makes you not look good in the eyes of your friends.
No, and I go home, and what do I do at home? I go into my room and I sit there because you and Dad have already gone to sleep.
You know
So
what
it
might be a
makes
good
me
idea?
lonely.
I really hear you, that you're really upset about this. Do you think maybe we could each take some time and go and think about this issue and maybe write a list of things that we can work on and try to see how we can make this better? Because it never was our intent to make you as angry as you feel right now. And I'm sure there are solutions to it, but Dad and I have some needs too. I mean, we're not going to say yes to everything, but I would certainly like to hear what you have to say about each of the issues and go from there. How do you feel about that?
I might as well try. What have I got to lose?
Sally, how did you feel about that dialogue that we just had where I was attempting to listen to you?
I thought that was a really good approach because you basically got me from I'm moving out to think about some alternatives. And it was effective, obviously, and I just felt really comfortable in the situation. I wasn't made to feel uncomfortable or talked down to or anything. So that really helped me out.
Good, thanks. So now we've looked at techniques for effective listening. You've seen some demonstration of effective listening, and Sally has shared with us how she felt about being listened to in that way. The next step for you is to pull the checklist for effective listening off the archive and practice a little bit. Find a friend or a spouse or somebody who will let you listen to them, and they can keep score on the checklist about how many times you've used these techniques that you've learned. And when you feel confident, use it with your teenager and watch the difference. One of the beauties of listening effectively this way is that it opens up the doors to finding a resolution to the problem, because once you've listened carefully to them, what you can say to this young person now is, it's clear to me you've got a problem. What are some of the options for solving the problem? Once they've identified some options, and you can have some input into this, the whole point of it is that you are not doing their problem solving for them. Once they've found some options, then your next step is to guide them in their exercising those options. And it's okay to say to them, is there any way that I can help you with this, without doing their work for them? So you've listened to them, you come to a place where you look at options for solving the problem, you support the young person in going out and solving the problem, and all along you're delivering a message that you care about them, you're not judging them, you respect them enough to let them solve their own problems, you respect their feelings and their thoughts enough to recognize that it's an important issue for them, and you've done what it takes to be a good parent. And young people who are listened to and dealt with in this way are not the ones who are going to their peers and getting their guidance from their peers. And as we all know, that's where a lot of the problems start, when their support network is more from their peers than from the adults in their life. So give it a try.